Hey everybody, Scott here. Back to drink another tea. It's a gloomy, well, see a little patch of blue there. Mostly gloomy winter day. Not cold, luckily. So I was able to ride my bike. And yeah, we're gonna drink. It's perfect kind of weather for drinking a ripe tea. She's like, oh no, not another ripe tea. Not another shocha. But yeah, that's what I'm in the mood for. And this very day, we received our new pressing. Well, actually, it was yesterday we received it. The new pressing that we did, a blend, of course, of ripe tea, which is called Alchemy. And you can see by the art that that's one of the reasons we called it Alchemy. But alchemy is also kind of like, the idea of blending things together and creating something new, something special. So, let's get to it. The water's just boiled. The wrapper is by Tasty_Y, which is how they wanted to be known. And they are also the artist who did our cozy wrappers, both 2020, 2021, and 2022. So yeah, exciting. We've got 6 grams here in our little dented, all my silver teapots are dented. Silver teapot. This is, I think, about 80 to 85 milliliters. So, we're going a little bit heavy. That's kind of just how I drink tea, especially ripes. But this one especially because it is a Chateau loose leaf blend. So it's got a certain percentage of Chateau in it. And Chateau, although it steeps really long, it doesn't tend to steep very strong. So I like to use a little bit more tea when I'm using Chateau, or if I'm drinking a Chateau or drinking a blend with Chateau in it, I tend to use a bit more. If it's purely just Chateau, like either a brick or loose pieces of Chateau, then I like to use even more. But anyways, I'm actually going to drink the wash on this one. Just because I steeped it a little bit long there, I don't want to waste it. And of course I've completely forgotten no strain, I don't need a strain. I usually just let the dregs kind of sit at the bottom, and then every once in a while I'll pour them out into the bucket. Lucy's over here on her bed. You can't really see her. She's down there on her bed looking out the window. She's got her head propped up on the windowsill. Lucy is doing well. In our last video, people asked about her. And she's doing well. She's almost 12 years old. And for a Doberman, that's pretty old. But she's still running around, chasing stuff, and she's doing really well. So no need to worry about her. All right, I'm gonna get some more water in here. Like I said, I'm gonna drink the wash here, because I know this tea is really good and clean. Oh, she's got up. Where are you going? She must have seen something out there. Oh, there she goes. Like I said, she's barking at something. I'm glad I did. There's like some kind of like cocoa. Sweet. This steep will be stronger. That was a kind of a... I'm gonna dump this out here. But yeah, this year we just, people really like ripe tea. I know a lot of people don't like ripe tea, but for every person that doesn't like ripe tea, I think there's probably 3 people who do. So, we produced quite a lot of ripe teas this year. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Ugh. All right. And this is among the last 2. There's another one that we made that was literally pressed at the same time. This one, which maybe I'll do in another, This is Boolong Tiger, and this is a Boolong tea, ripe tea, with a very cool wrapper by, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Inze Duran, but yeah, really cool wrapper. She also did our 2021 Mushu Cha wrapper, which is really, really cool as well. All right, nice dark tea soup on this one. The wash that I did, oh yeah, nice and dark. Thick, 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 dark, dark, dark. All right, let's get some more water in here. Wow, that really is a small teapot. I was thinking of using this one and just not filling it up all the way. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. That's the full. With this, after the wash, this nice full steep is just very, very thick. Bit of chocolate, a little bit of dried longan fruit taste. That's, I get a little bit of that. Almost like a little bit of coffee, longan, chocolate. Got a little chato drag in there, little pieces. When you make chato teas, and this isn't purely chato. This is about a third. No big secret there. He gave away his blend secret. It's a third chato. I could have never figured that out in a million years. Well, yeah, that's not a big secret. You could have more chato, you could have less. It's kind of more just about trying to get the taste. Oh man, you probably just saw my tonsils there, which by the way I still have. Man, I remember when I was a kid in school, and one of my classmates, I don't remember how old, this has got to be for 2nd grade or 3rd grade or something like that, and he brought his tonsils to school in a bag or in a jar or something. I don't remember, but it was so horrifying. It was just like, he had his tonsils out and he got to keep them, and then he brought them to school. It was just like, the teacher thought it was so cool. And I was like, kind of like, oh God, that's horrible. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience. Is that like is that a generational thing, or is that still being done, or have you all ever experienced that? Yeah, brought his tonsils to school. Oh, I don't know why why I'm doing this. I'm not even tired. I slept great, actually. Oh, the sun's coming out, finally. Nice, dark, dark tea soup here. Oh, and by the way, this tea is going to be very, very affordable. It'll be under 10 cents. Under 10 cents a gram. So, we'll be listing it for just under $35, between 30 and 35. haven't decided yet. I need to look at all the costs and the pressings and the testing and all that stuff, and of course the cost of material. But it's going to be a really affordable tea as well. I'm also thinking of having it as a free gift on the website, but only for a limited time. So I'm thinking probably like for about a month or so. So when this comes out, jump on it. Jump on that free gift deal. It'll be like spend X amount and get this as free. But it won't be like a lot of our other ones. Excuse me. It's not going to be like take your time with it, or you have a year or 6 months. It's going to be like a month or something like that. So and that way you can just get the teas that you regularly like, and then if you spend enough, you just get this for free. So it's like similar to the last steep, Yunnan fruity cacao, little beanie, a little coffee character as well to it. It's sweet. I don't know what's going on with me. Maybe it's this tea, I don't know. It's just like I don't know. It's been a rough couple of weeks though, with all this, with the big sales that we had, and I was helping our employee here in the warehouse here in Texas. We have an employee that does the YS Express, and he does the picking and packing of the U.S. orders, and so I was in there a lot last week, in addition to being a rather aged father and also running this company. So I got a lot on my plate. However, I'm having a good time. It's fun. And it's hard not to enjoy somebody, my son, Ethan, who is just a little ball of joy. He is so happy. When he sees me, he's just smiling, and Shaya's always commenting. She's like, I don't think, she's like, what's it like having somebody like you so much? I'm like, I thought, almost, as much as Lucy, actually more. But it's hard to be grumpy when you have such a sweet sweet little baby. But yeah, he's a lot of fun. At some point we'll bring him on the show, as it were. Not the show, but bring him on to show you. Sweet, thick, a little bit of wet pile taste, not very much. The Chateau is 2018, and it's been stored in Monghai until basically the time of pressing. So the Chateau really doesn't have wet pile taste. There's two 2021 teas, or there's a 2021 and a 2020 tea in there as well. So it's three teas total in the blend. But I'm not going to tell you which ones, because then you could go out and you could reproduce it. You could go find those teas, those exact teas. Wait, no, not likely. But anyways, the secret to blending tea is to take teas that you like already, individually that you like, and then put them together and tweak the ratio. Sometimes ripes work really, really well. Sometimes I feel like raw can be more finicky, but generally if you have a good inputs, you have a good output. So good inputs meaning good teas that are of qualities that you like, and they will tend to complement each other because all the, typically teas have different, character and strengths. Some will be, more persistent, more infusible, as it were, some slightly less. Some will have bitterness, some will be more sweet. So when you blend them together, you get the whole package, And a lot of people think that there's some, I guess you could say that there's skill involved. There's definitely skill involved. I don't want to say that there isn't skill involved. But when you already can drink tea and you know what tea is good, then that's like basically you have your inputs. You have good, this tea is good, this tea is good. And a lot of times I'll buy ripe teas without knowing how I'm going to blend them. I simply just buy batches of them because I like them. And they have certain qualities that I like. And sometimes I'll just press them by themselves, and then sometimes I'll blend them. Sometimes one tea, I'll buy one batch of tea, and I'll press a cake with just that tea, no other teas, and then I'll use a portion of that and blend it with other teas. Sometimes one batch of tea could be in 3 or 4 different blends. So it's really about finding teas that are good and then figuring out how you want to use them. Do you want to blend them? Do you just want to have them be by themselves? Do you want to sell them as a cake? Do you want to sell them as a loose leaf tea? Most of the time we press cakes. Very nice. This I would say is it's very much like a comfort kind of tea. People who like the Pig, Red Label, people who like cozy, I think they're going to like this tea. I'm trying to think of another. I've done quite a few tacos. Oh, good. I don't know what it is. There must be something in this tea. Because, I don't want to. I'm not trying to say this tea is like a sleep aid or anything, but it seems to be very, very. For me, it seems to be very, very relaxing, as it were. But today, in general, I just woke up and I just felt Saturday. And we've kind of come to the end of a long, very, very busy period. So perhaps I'm just kind of having like downtime. From this morning, from when I woke up, I felt quite relaxed, which is unusual. Usually I'm kind of like running around, my head cut off, trying to figure out, trying to get everything done so that I can move on to the next task. It's not the way I really like to live, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, which means being incredibly busy and but every day I drink tea, so but anyways, yeah. I'm trying to think. What else has been going on? I think I did mention in the last video, the long time no see video, where I drank the Pasha Ripe, about the impression cakes that we're doing, a silver and a gold impression. So we're doing just 2 different kind of impressions. One is a bit pricier than the other, but they're both really, really good. And I think, as I mentioned before, that the cheaper one may actually be preferred by some people over the other. But yeah, we're still a little bit behind on that. You know how it is. We can't stop yawning. We can't get anything done. I'm just gonna go straight in the cup this time. Well, we got rid of our chahai now. We got rid of our strainer, which we never used, and then now we've just completely ditched our chahai. Although I gotta be careful that I don't burn myself. That is one advantage of using a chai. It cools things down, you know, pour it in there, it cools things down. I think it'll be okay, but I'm gonna reboil the water. Nice. I think I feel like I feel like I steeped that a little bit longer this time. And that's the thing about Chateau. And that's the thing about this blend too. Like, I would recommend like not pushing it for the first 4 steeps or so. And then, I mean, you can see, and it depends on how much you use. But I like the way that I'm doing it. Man, I can't stop yawning. What is wrong with me? Maybe I need to improve my posture. I would start pushing it a bit after maybe the fifth steep and onward. And that's where Chateau is really going to perform well. Chateau has like, you know, very infusible. It's stubborn though. So like, you know, you kind of get like this, you know, and that's where I talk about blending, like having Chateau in the blend. Like, Chateau is kind of stubborn. Like, it takes a lot to kind of get it to awaken. So like the first 2 steeps probably didn't have as much Chateau, but then later in the later steeps, and then when you really push it more, the Chateau is going to like perform better than the loose leaf tea, you know, the leaf tea as it were, as opposed to the tea nuggets. And if you don't know what Chateau is, maybe I should explain that, since I've been talking about Chateau, like, what is he talking about Chateau? Chateau are basically, so when tea is wet piled, it's piled up about 1 meter or so high, and they like to keep it wet, and it's basically composting tea, and that's how they make ripe tea. Wet piling, or 卧对 in Chinese. When they're done with the wet pile, they separate out all the leaf grades according to their size, and they're often kind of these congealed like clumps, as it were, of tea. And those and they can be quite dense and hard, and they can vary in size from, you know, quite small, like peanut size or almond size, to, you know, like clods that, like, you know, you could throw quite far. This Chateau that we used in here is a small Chateau, so it's, you know, about that. Those are averaging probably about that big. They're quite small, and those I prefer because they tend to blend better. If you have like big clods of Chateau, you can't really blend them and press them into a cake, because they don't move that much. You know, they're quite dense. So think of them as basically congealed, composted ripe tea. And that might sound gross, but it's not any different than ripe tea in general. You know, it's the same process, and it's the same wet pile. It's just, for some reason, the stuff stuck together. And so during that 45-day fermentation process, you know, once a clump sticks together, then it tends to get kind of more like compressed and dense, and it doesn't ferment, or it doesn't compost, wet pile, whatever, the same way like a loose leaf tea would. Now, of course, their loose leaf tea, when they go into it, it's just, for some reason, they just clump. So anyways, that's Chateau. And Chateau in Chinese basically means tea head, or tea, you know, toe is like, you know, toe is like a round, it could be like a round thing, like a head. So it doesn't actually tea head, it means like, you know, tea nugget is really kind of probably the best translation. Tea clump. All right. Let's gonna hit this again. And again, this is one of those teas that it's gonna, it's gonna transform quite a bit as the loose leaf tea, which is more potent in the beginning, loses some of its power. The Chato is gonna come in. The Chato, however, isn't gonna be like super in your face strong. It's gonna be mellow. So like I would say the later steeps are very sweet and mellow. The early steeps are more like chocolatey, fruity, thick, dark. The tea soup is already a little bit less dark. I don't know what steep we're on, 6? I haven't been counting. That's a little bit hot. I'm gonna wait on this. So we got this one steeping right here. Lucy never did come back. She's probably cruising around. She's got a few acres here to cruise around. She has a trail system that she's developed, and I used to have to go out there and try to find her. And I don't know if you've ever done hiking, but you end up, if you're hiking in a lot of places in the world, you're hiking, and the next thing you know, you're on a deer trail. And you know you're on a deer trail because you have to keep ducking down. You're like, oh no, I took a wrong turn because this is a deer trail. And that's kind of how Lucy's trails were. So actually, because I wanted to go out there and actually get her sometimes, because sometimes she's treed a wild cat or a raccoon, or she's got into it with a porcupine. I have to go out there and get her. So I actually use some trimmers and I kind of trimmed a little bit above her trail, so now I can walk through the trails. And actually now I enjoy walking through them, and they tend to meander around the cactus and whatnot. And she just goes out there, and I've actually seen her clearing her trails and making new trails. She literally will bite some of the like grasses and things away, and it's really strange. She is an interesting dog. Deer trails, yeah. I used to hike a lot in the Los Padres National Forest, in the backcountry behind San Ynez Valley, Santa Barbara, the mountains there, the coastal range. Beautiful. I used to go back there in the winter a few times and hike. And I did like a couple of times I did more than a month just out there. And it got cold though. It would get below freezing. I mean, you're at some altitude, not high altitude, but it got quite cold. I remember just hiking on some trails that really weren't particularly, well trodden, and just finding myself ending up kind of following like deer trails or who knows, what trails. And I had a map and a compass. I had one of those, a topographical map and whatnot, and some of the trails were marked on there, but man, I got lost quite a bit. Luckily there was the couple of rivers and some things that you're able to like be like, oh, okay, now I know where I am. But no GPS. That was the 90s. Wait, 90s? Yes. A long time ago. The late 90s. And no cell phone. I remember telling my my aunt that I went out there for like a month. She's like, you didn't bring a satellite phone or or something? And I'm like, no. And I was out there all by myself, although my friend came out once after about midway, about 2.5 weeks in, and brought me some food. And that was the only person I saw for 5 weeks. The only person. And he had to go back. He had to go back the same day because, he had a job. And but man, I just cook over the fire. That's like, you can bring fuel. I didn't even have a light. So I would cook over the fire. I had brought a lot of lentils, a lot of dried lentils. So I'd soak the lentils during the day and then cook those, and then I'd eat those. And I got some onions. I got a few things. I got some dehydrated vegetables to try to get in there. But man, by the end of that 5 weeks, let me tell you, my farts were like horrible. And it was winter, so the days were shorter and the nights were longer, but it was like you would literally I would just sit there, cook, and then I would just sit by the fire and just like stare at the fire. And then I would get in. I didn't even have a tent, I just had a bivvy. I would just get in my sleeping bag in the bivvy, and then, you know, I'd wake up and it would be like, you know, because I'd probably end up going to bed at like 8 because I couldn't stay awake. And then I would fall asleep, and then I would wake up, it'd be like, I don't know, 4 a.m. It would be dark, and it would be like 25 degrees, and I would just sit in there for like 2.5 hours until the sun came up, and then I would get up, and probably not having quite enough calories too. But the really cool thing was, back in this backcountry there, one of my friends he was involved with, I forget the details, but he was able to indicate a few places to me on the map roughly where I could find the Chumash Native American cave paintings. And so these are like, I think in sandstone, they're kind of like hollowed out by the wind. And the Chumash went in there and they made paintings on the rocks in these kind of small caves. And they very, 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 very few people knew where they were, because generally, you know, it's just like you know, these are not protected by anything. You go there and you have to, you know, you have to be a good person. You don't touch them. You can, you know, you lie down in the cave and you look at them, and I made drawings of them. But yeah, really incredible experience. Really, really, really incredible. Anyways, I don't know how I got onto that. Oh, Lucy and her trails. So good. I didn't put another steep in here, and you guys are probably sick of listening to me reminisce. But anyways, you know, you can always change a channel. You can always watch another video. I should do a video where I just dance around and go, yeah, 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 yeah. Drink tea. Came out great. Sweet. Really still very interesting brew. This is one, like I said, you can push it. You're going to need to push it in the later steeps. After steep 5 and onward, and then really like steep 7, 8, 9, 10, you could do it. Probably just want to do it for like a minute to a minute and a half, 2 minutes even. This would also be a tea that if you like to boil tea after, and you give a good boil, especially with that chato in there, you're going to be happy. It's going to come out creamy and nice, and you're going to get more tea. So that's about it. Check it out, Alchemy. We're going to be doing a free gift. This is a free gift, but only for a month. So check it out. Anyways, we'll see you on the next one. Hope you all are doing well. Take care.